Welcome to Live from Mars. This is the first real episode of the podcast because the first one, if you listened already, you know, is about my story, about who I am, who Alex, who Mars is, how I got into loving music, and what my story as a social creator has been like so far. Make sure you check that out so you can learn a little bit more about the guy behind the mic. And I am really excited to dive into the big music news of this week, which is the Grammy nominations. Yes, this is like my Super Bowl, so I am really excited to break into these categories and to go through all of them in excruciatingly painful detail to check out how the Grammys did, if they got it right, if they got it wrong. We're going to find out. It's obviously been a very crazy last few weeks in the world, so hopefully this is a nice break from reality. So it's been a nice break from reality for me, and it was nice to dive into it to just really remember joy. For lack of better word. So I also, on my Instagram at Vinyl by Mars, if you're not already following, I posted a little poll asking you guys to send in your biggest take on the Grammy nominations, if you thought that they got it right, if you thought that they really messed it up, what questions you have about the nominations. So I'm going to go through the nominations, through the categories that I care the most about, which will be the general field. It will be That includes Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best New Artist, and Album of the Year is the big kahuna. And then we're going to go into the pop categories. I'll go through with a little bit of R&B, a little bit of country, a little bit of dance, a little bit of everything. There's a lot to go through. I believe there's 90-something categories that the Grammys have. So we're not going to go through every single one, but we'll get through a good amount of them, just like quick review of the category, who was snubbed, who just made it in by the skin of their teeth. And like I said, there's also a bunch of hot questions that you guys sent in, and would you believe that most of them are about the same big snub? There is one massive snub across the board. Some feel that it was a worthy snub. Others feel like it was not justified. So we'll talk about that. There's just a lot to get through, and I'm really excited about it. Before I get into it, there is a video version of what you're listening to if you are listening on whatever podcast platform you are enjoying right now. There's a video version. It is live up on YouTube, so that's there too if you're interested. So I think what we're going to do in order, we're going to go through the nominations. We'll go through some like quick reviews of them and any surprises that I had, and then we'll go into your hot topic submissions. Let's break into it. So Grammy nominations 2025, I'm on pitchfork.com looking through all of the categories. So let's start off with Record of the Year. Record of the Year is awarding the recording itself of that song. So when Taylor Swift is on stage performing, I don't know, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, right? Every time she performs that song, it's like another recording of the song. So what Record of the Year is awarding is the final mixed mastered recording that you hear on the album. And the actual award is going to the vocal performer. It is going to producers of the song. It is going to the audio engineers, whoever mixed and mastered it. All of that technical stuff goes to Record of the Year. I say all of that because there is often a lot of confusion between Record and Song of the Year. Song of the Year is awarding the writing, the lyrics. The actual award goes to the songwriters. So that is why it's really important for an artist to write his or her own music, because if they get nominated and win a Grammy for Song of the Year and you don't write it, you don't get the award. So, yeah. Record of the Year is a category that traditionally goes to the big hit, the inescapable song of the year that was always on the radio or always coming up on Spotify playlists. And the last few winners do represent that. You look at, the 2020s. Bad Guy by Billie Eilish won in 2020. It was up against a song like Seven Rings by Ariana Grande, Old Town Road, Lil Nas X, Sunflower, Post Malone, Truth Hurts, Lizzo. The following year, Billie Eilish won it again for Everything I Wanted. She was up against a song like Circles by Post Malone, Don't Start Now, Dua Lipa, Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce's Savage remix, Say So by Doja Cat. 2022 went to Silk Sonic, Leave the Door Open. It was up against Driver's License, Olivia Rodrigo, Happier Than Ever, Billie Eilish, Kiss Me More, Doja Cat, Peaches, Justin Bieber. 2023, it went to Lizzo's About Damn Time. And then last year, the most recent winner is Miley Cyrus with Flowers. So this year's category, the nominees are hold on, let me put on my better, like, announcer voice. And the nominees for Record of the Year are 360 by Charlie XCX, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, Espresso, Sabrina Carpenter, Fortnite, Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone, Good Luck Babe, Chappell Roan, Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar, Now and Then by the Beatles, and Texas Hold'em by Beyonce. All of these songs, for the most part, I'm not shocked by, other than the Beatles' Now and Then. That is just in there because it is the Beatles. Obviously, the Beatles are the most impactful, most influential band of all time, I would argue. And this song was like partially finished with AI, so there's a little bit of a 2024 technology edge that brought them into the category. And when you see the Beatles as a submission opportunity, what voter's going to turn it down, right? I don't think anyone was actually expecting the Beatles to be nominated in this category, nor is anyone really expecting them to win. I personally am not. Beyonce's Texas Hold'em, not a surprise at all. It's a frontrunner in the field. So is Billie Eilish with Birds of a Feather. Chappell Roan's Good Luck Babe is one of the best pop songs of this new decade, so it 100% deserves to be here. 360 by Charlie XCX. I'm a little surprised to see it here, because what I had just like written in my head regarding Brat and its chances with the Grammys was that she was going to get an Album of the Year nom, which she did, which is fantastic. She was going to get a bunch of nominations in like the dance categories. I expected pop duo and group for Guess with Billie Eilish, which ended up happening. And I was expecting it more so to compete in the genre field rather than the general field. So it was a little bit surprising to see 360 here, largely because the song that I actually thought was going to take home the award for Record of the Year is not even nominated. Now, think back to the nominees I just read out. The Beatles' Now and Then, Beyonce Texas Hold'em, Billie Eilish Birds of a Feather, Chappell Roan Good Luck Babe, Charlie 360, Kendrick Lamar Not Like Us, Sabrina Carpenter Espresso, and Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone Fortnite. There's, in my mind, a very obvious song that was not nominated, completely passed over for Record of the Year. What happened to Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars's Die With a Smile? It's been 2 days since the nominations have come out, and I still do not have any explanation as to why this song was not nominated in Record of the Year. It felt like an absolute lock given Bruno has won the category. I don't think Bruno has lost a single Grammy he's been nominated for in a decade. I'm pretty sure I saw that tweet yesterday. So take that into consideration here. And Gaga is Gaga. Like, it's shocking to me that she's not in this category. We'll get to Song of the Year in a little bit, but they are nominated for Die With a Smile in that category. And I would actually say that the songwriting on Die With a Smile isn't the most intricate, woven with a bunch of metaphors and big picture concepts. It's very simple. It's a very beautiful love song, and I'm very surprised that it's not here because honestly, it's the production of the song. Again, very simple production, but that is really what moves me along with their vocal performances, and that is what Record of the Year is awarding. So I'm very, very surprised that it wasn't included in this category. Obvious other contender that did not get nominated was Ariana Grande's We Can't Be Friends, and a lot of people are very upset that she wasn't included here. Benson Boone, Beautiful Things, that's another one that a lot of people expected to be in the general field given how massive it was, and it's much more a Record of the Year play than a Song of the Year play, so that was surprising to me as well. And a bar song, Shabuzi, one of the biggest hits of the year, one of the biggest country hits of the decade, without a doubt. To not see it here is very surprising, especially given that he's nominated for other categories. So that was a little odd. But yeah, Record of the Year, a little crazy. Let's move on to Album of the Year. Album of the Year, the nominees are Andre 3000 for New Blue Sun. That is an ambient flute record. We'll come back to it. Beyonce, Cowboy Carter. Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. Chappell Roan, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. Charlie XCX, Brat. Jacob Collier, Jessie Volume 4. Sabrina Carpenter, Short and Sweet. And Taylor Swift with the Tortured Poets Department. Now, of the 8 nominees, I correctly predicted 6 of them. Those being Cowboy Carter, Hit Me Hard and Soft, Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, Brat, the Torture Poets Department. And Short and Sweet was a potential outlier. I could see them passing it up in favor of some others, but now seeing the complete list of nominations, this makes a lot more sense. What is missing here is a great question. Eternal Sunshine is missing in this category. That ended up having less favorable odds than Short and Sweet did, and Short and Sweet ended up grabbing it, which I'm really happy for Sabrina. I mean, Short and Sweet is a fantastic pop album. It's one of the strongest, most consistent, most concise records we've gotten this year. She has really taken over cultural conversation. Another artist and album that I was surprised didn't get included was Vampire Weekend for Only God Was Above Us. It was very well reviewed, and it was a frontrunner and expected to be nominated, so surprising that they got snubbed as well. Casey Musgrave's Deeper Well, you could argue, had a shot. I don't think this album made any splash really whatsoever, so I'm not surprised that it isn't here. Higher by Chris Stapleton would have been nice, but, you know, I understand why it was left out. I honestly, based on how much the Grammys are loving Post Malone, expected to see F1 Trillion here. I'm glad it's not here, but that could have been something. And then Brittany Howard, What Now? That one had a lot of people talking that she was going to grab a nomination. So that is also a surprise. Some other artists that released in 24 that were snubbed across really the entire nomination pool, not even including general field, but going down to their genres, are Doja Cat, and she had Scarlet, that got the deluxe version of Scarlet or the regular version of Scarlet. I forget when it came out, but that didn't pick up anything. And Dua Lipa for Radical Optimism. She won Best Pop Vocal Album for Future Nostalgia. She was nominated in the general field for Don't Start Now, and I am not surprised one bit that Radical Optimism did not get any love. The only chance that it had was Houdini, and I don't even remember if she submitted it into Best Dance Pop Recording, but if she didn't, she should have. Dua submitted Houdini for Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Pop Solo Performance, Best Music Video, and Best Remixed Recording for the Adam Port Mix. Why that wasn't submitted for Best Dance Pop instead of Best Pop Solo beats me, because that would have stood a chance. And that, in my opinion, is one of the strongest songs on the album, if not the strongest. I love that one still to this day. And yeah, people are not thrilled about that either. Album of the Year, what else? Andre 3000, New Blue Sun being in here is wild to me. I would love to talk to the voter who put on their sheet, on their ballot, New Blue Sun and Jessie Volume 4. Wild choices. And the Grammys do love Jacob Collier, so I'm not shocked that he got some love, but to take one of these 8 spots from some of the people I just talked about, very surprising to me. Album of the Year, as of now, in my mind, is between the following: Cowboy Carter, Hit Me Hard and Soft, and then maybe Chappell Roan, Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, if they want to go down that road of like really honoring new, fresh talent. Now, a lot of people are going to argue that Brat should be winning Album of the Year, because what album permeated cultural prominence more than Brat? Many of these albums, you could argue, should and could win. Cowboy Carter, obviously. Beyonce is now a 99-time Grammy nominee. She has never won Album of the Year. Many thought that she should have won for her self-titled effort that came out in 2013. Many thought that she was wrongfully snubbed for Lemonade. Many thought she was wrongfully snubbed for Renaissance. And now, again, we're up with Cowboy Carter. Now, a lot of the chatter, the behind-the-scenes chatter that came out of the 2023 Grammys when Renaissance was up against 30 and Harry Styles ended up taking home the award for Harry's House, a lot of people feel like Beyonce, because she is so decorated and so adored, and the conversation always comes back to Beyonce and the fact that she hasn't won, that some voters just feel like she's already gotten her flowers. She doesn't need to have an Album of the Year win to add another accolade to her name, that she just continues to get snubbed over. I also think what's going to be really interesting is how the Country Music Awards completely snubbed Cowboy Carter, didn't give it anything, didn't give Beyonce any nominations, no love from the CMAs. And it really does speak to the issue of inclusivity. I think that Cowboy Carter taking home Album of the Year would really accomplish a lot of things. One, it gives love to Beyonce, who has never won Album of the Year. Two, It gives validation to country music's massive year of 2024 without giving it to like a traditional country record, which wasn't even nominated in Album of the Year. If you look at these names, none of these records have country to them. Maybe one song here and there you could argue on Short and Sweet, but the rest of it doesn't show any love to the year that country music had. They didn't nominate F1 Trillion. They didn't nominate Chris Stapleton. So this would be a way of giving country the flowers it deserves for 2024. And everything I just talked about, the issues with the CMAs, the Grammys can kind of be like, hey, we notice talent. We award real talent. What are you doing? But what I'm concerned about is how the voting in the Academy, like what the voter base shakeup is between who votes for the CMAs and who votes for the Grammys, and how much love Beyonce would actually get from the country voters in the Academy. So that is what potentially is going to hold it back. Another potential holdback that is true for Cowboy Carter and Tortured Poets is you're looking at a very similar situation to Renaissance versus 30, where there were two huge, colossal names fighting for Album of the Year that they kind of split the vote, which gave way for Harry Styles to come through and take home the win. And I would not be surprised if that happened again, and you could see something like Short and Sweet pulling it off, or Chapel, or Charlie. The three of them had the biggest year of anyone in 2024. And, you know, you can obviously be like, no, Taylor Swift, she sold so much more. Tortured Poets is the biggest album of the year. She's the biggest celebrity of our generation. And all true. That is all true. But when you look at actual breakthrough 2024, it's those three. So giving it to one of the three of them would really show, it would really be a strong representation of the year. So I could see them going really any of these different ways. It's not a sure thing for anyone in particular. Right now, for me personally, for Alex personally, my pick is Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. If you're watching the video, you can see me pointing to the record on my record player. So I'm a huge fan of this album. I think it accomplishes so much for Billie. Remember, it's just her and Phineas doing this together, which is so incredible. Brother, sister, obviously. They have so many fans in the Recording Academy. They are winning these major categories when they're off cycle. Everything I Wanted, winning Record of the Year. What Was I Made For from the Barbie soundtrack, taking home Song of the Year last year. Those aren't even on Billie's official albums. Those were one-off singles or part of her soundtrack, and she still won the award. So she is so adored by the Academy. I think the album does a lot for advancing both of their artistries. I think it does a lot to help shape Billie's narrative further. She's coming into her own. She's so young, remember. How old is she? She's 20, 21? She is 22. Billie Eilish is 22 years old and has lived an entire lifetime in the music industry already. Hit Me Hard and Soft is concise. It's only 10 songs long, but a lot of these songs have so many different components to it where it feels like it's more. And they really master the art of, I keep using the word concise, but it really fits for this one. It's concise, but it packs such a powerful punch. And there's a lot of hits to it also. You got Birds of a Feather, you got Lunch, you got Chihiro, you have Wildflower, which is doing great numbers now. So there's a lot of love for Billie across the Academy, but also in general. I don't think people would be too mad about that record. Taylor Swift, the Tortured Poets department, this is the one that people will be watching for because it's Taylor, because it's Album of the Year. Taylor Swift has already won 4 Album of the Year awards. She took home the awards for Fearless in 2010, 1989 and 2016, and then Folklore in 2021 and Midnight's last year. A lot of people feel that Midnight shouldn't have won Album of the Year and would rather have Tortured Poet take home the award. Now, I would say that the album that deserves to take home Album of the Year between the two is Tortured Poets. It's a better album. It is better written. There is more to dive into on the record, and it really plays more to Taylor's strength as a songwriter than Midnight's did. But for Taylor to be the only person to have 5 Album of the Year awards, to win it in back-to-back years for an album that, yes, it sold incredibly well. It's the biggest sales week of the year by far, like over 2 million copies first week. And the Eras Tour, biggest tour of all time. Taylor, the biggest celebrity of our time. I just think that the Grammys have a real issue when it comes to keeping young people engaged, that giving Taylor the award, yes, she has young fans, but it isn't advancing the Grammys narrative further. It isn't shaping what the next generation of Grammy winners are going to be. I feel like it would be very, very upsetting to people if she took home the award again, and then, Swifties will be thrilled. So you can't really please everybody with any of these awards, but I don't think this is Taylor's year. Let's move on to Song of the Year. Song of the Year, again, is awarding the song writing. The lyrics, the music itself, the songwriters are the ones who get the award. The nominees tend to be very similar across both. Actually, in this year, there are more differences. So let's talk about them. Beyonce, Texas Hold'em. Billie Eilish, Birds of a Feather. Chappell Roan, Good Luck Babe. Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us. Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars for Die With a Smile. Sabrina Carpenter, Please, Please, Please. Shaboozey, A Bar Song Tipsy. And Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone, Fortnite. Now, Taylor Swift holds the record for the most nominations for Song of the Year. She has 8 nominations for this throughout her career and has never won the award. This will also not be the year that Taylor wins the award. Fortnite doesn't have the legs for it to take home the win. It's not a strong enough song. It wasn't one of her stronger lead singles. I don't think it's the strongest song that's been nominated in this category that is a Taylor song. This one is going to be another L for Taylor. But the rest of the nominees, let's go through them. Beyonce, Texas Hold'em, I would argue, is the frontrunner in the field. I don't really think that it does a good job at representing Cowboy Carter, its impact, its sound. I think this is the most commercially, country, surface level country. But it was a really big song. It was a #1 single for Beyonce. Birds of a Feather has a really strong shot. Chappell Roan's Good Luck Babe, fantastic song. Not Like Us is the biggest rap song of the year, the biggest story in hip-hop and beefs this year, and really this decade. Die With a Smile, I think, has a really good shot given who is performing on it and the love that the Grammys show these two artists. Sabrina Carpenter, Please, Please, Please. This is an interesting one. So if you remember, in Record of the Year, Sabrina is nominated for Espresso, whereas Please, Please, Please is nominated for Song of the Year. This is something that I've been dying to talk about because I actually think she made a really good call having 2 different songs nominated in the general field. Because 1, it shows her diversity and her skill set being extended. And 2, it offers people a different taste in each category. Now, the reason why I think that happened is because Record of the Year, like I said before, is more often given to the big hit, the big smash single that is inescapable, the earworm of the year. Whereas Song of the Year is given to a little bit more songwriting flourish, a little bit deeper meaning. Doesn't necessarily need to be the big song of the year, but it has really, really strong bones. And Please, Please, Please is a better written song in terms of its lyrics, in terms of the modulation and the key change that happens in the second verse. And it's very quirky. It's a very weird song. There's a great video of Jack Antonoff showing how he made the song with Sabrina, and it's a really great watch. I encourage you to check it out. But I actually saw a tweet that on one hand, Espresso for Record and Please, Please, Please for Song makes perfect sense, but you could actually argue the opposite. Espresso has more memorable lyrics than Please, Please, Please. Please, Please, Please obviously is a really strong chorus, but the amount of people who were singing the verses to Espresso, I'm working late because I'm a singer, all that stuff that has become such a part of cultural conversation this year, you would argue that Espresso has more memorable songwriting, and the production on Please, Please, Please is the most interesting part about it. Like I said, that modulation, the key change, the shifting instruments here and there, it's very, very unique. So I actually see it going both ways. Brian Cantor at Cantorpedia on Twitter tweeted that from Headline Planet, and I completely agree with it. I'm very curious to know what you guys think about that one, so drop a comment about that. I am wondering for your take. Let's hit Best New Artist. The nominees are Benson Boone, Doechii, Chappell Roan, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this, Khruangbin. Clearly, I've never heard of this artist. Ray, I have heard of Ray. I love Ray. Sabrina Carpenter, Shaboozey, and Teddy Swims. Great, great field. This is a race between Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan. It's a no-brainer. Sabrina long pushed for Best New Artist, never got it until her third and final try. You can submit for this category up to 3 times, and she finally nailed it. A lot of people are like, hey, Sabrina Carpenter just put out her 6th album. Short and Sweet is her number 6 album. She's not a new artist. So why is she nominated in Best New Artist? The answer to that is because the Grammys define a Best New Artist nominee as the year in which they receive cultural prominence, that they have a cultural breakthrough. I will actually read you the exact quote from Best New Artist on Wikipedia as to how it is determined. It is, quote, for a new artist who releases during the eligibility year the first recording which establishes the public identity of that artist. Note that this is not necessarily the first album or single released by an artist. So at the end of the day, this truly is the year that your average Joe Schmo who is not tuned into pop culture, to celebrity, to music, the way that we are if you're listening to this. And this is the year that most of them realized who she is. So it is, for the majority of people, the year in which Sabrina received and achieved breakthrough prominence. Chapel, though, I could see them going with her for the win because Sabrina kind of fills a niche that is very similar to Ariana Grande, that they are small, petite, they are sexually promiscuous and love to flirt and be funny with their music and have good personalities that are shown in their songwriting. And the Grammys have a very interesting dynamic with Ariana Grande. She was completely left out of the general field. And my fear for Sabrina is that she may end up falling into a similar hole. But when you're looking at Best New Artist, Chapel Roan, based on the marketing, based on the aesthetic, based on the stories that she tells, is more of a, air quote, artist trademark, like the little TM next to it. Like, that is what the Grammys tend to go towards. So I will not be surprised one bit if and when she takes home Best New Artist. Other than the two of them, Benson Boone had a massive year. I'm glad that he got some love in the category. I don't think he has enough legs to stand on to take home the win. Doechii is a great win for the category. Really great up-and-coming hip-hop artist. Ray is fantastic. Ray is an artist who was signed and then dropped and put out music independently and has such an incredible album, My 21st Century Blues. She is, in my eyes, a true artist. She is phenomenal. If you have not seen her performance on SNL from earlier this year, you need to watch it because it completely captivated me. I was starstruck watching her perform. The ease in which she is able to glide over these notes and go from like rapping to speak singing to like belting. It was really, really remarkable. She is a true talent, and I would be thrilled if she ended up taking home the win. I don't think she will, but it would be great. Shabuzi, huge win for him being in here, and then Teddy Swims as well. All right, so that's the general field. Let's take a little quick break, and I will be right back. All right, we are back. Let's continue to go through these nominations. We're going to do them a little bit quicker just because there's so many of them, and the general field is the most important. Let's look at Producer of the Year Non-Classical. This award has gone to some of the biggest producers in music like Stevie Wonder, Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson, Phil Collins, David Foster, Babyface, Dr. Dre, The Neptunes, Mark Ronson, Rick Rubin, Max Martin, Pharrell Williams, Greg Kurstin, Phineas, Andrew Watt. The last 3 years have gone to Jack Antonoff, and Jack Antonoff is not nominated this year. What happened? I am dying to know. If you are a Grammy voter and you voted or did not vote for Jack Antonoff, reach out to me. Let's talk, because I am so curious to understand what happened. Because Jack worked heavily across the Tortured Poets department and Short and Sweet with Sabrina. His work is very much represented in the categories this year, but he as a producer is not nominated in a category that he took home the win in the last 3 consecutive years. That is crazy. That is a huge, huge snub. And the first thought that I had when I saw the nominations come out Friday morning is that this is signaling something, that we're kind of reaching the end of the glory day of the Taylor Jack phenomenon. And you really saw him benefit from this, I would say, Folklore On, as being one of the 2 main producers that she works with between him and Aaron Dessner. Taylor didn't have the biggest year with these nominations either. So I'm very, very curious to see if Jack not getting nominated in this field is any kind of indication as to how Taylor's chances are going to be come award night. The other big win here in this category is Dan Nigro being nominated. He had a huge hand in Olivia Rodrigo's career and Chappell Roan's as well. So he has a very, very good shot at taking home this award. Songwriter of the Year, non-classical, thrilled that Amy Allen is nominated in this category. Ray getting a nomination for Songwriter of the Year as getting nominated for Best New Artist. Incredible. That is like written as if it was perfectly just in a fairy tale story for me. This is huge. I am so excited for her here. We're going to get into the pop categories now. This is what you've been waiting for. This is what I've been waiting to talk about more than anything. It is wild. Okay. Best Pop Solo Performance. Did I write down who I thought was going to get nominated here? I made a video about it. Who were my choices? So my guesses for who was going to be nominated for Best Pop Solo Performance were Good Luck Babe, Chappell Roan, which was nominated, Billie Eilish, Birds of a Feather, which was also nominated, Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso, which was nominated, and then the other two I was wrong on, largely due to the Ariana snub. I thought We Can't Be Friends, Wait for Your Love would be in here. And then I gave my fifth spot to Benson Boone, Beautiful Things, who also did not get any love. The other two nominees are Charli XCX with Apple and Beyonce with Bodyguard. I was shocked about Bodyguard because I completely forgot that Beyonce submitted in this category with it. Bodyguard to me, like, it's a pop song, but it's not a like pop song, you know? It's not like an Espresso. It's not like a Good Luck Babe. So I just like didn't think that it would have a chance in this category. And then I'm like, oh, it's Beyonce. Of course she has a chance. And of course she may win. This is a tough category. I think Apple doesn't really have much of a chance. I will be shocked if it takes home the win. I think this is Espresso's award to lose, but a lot can change between now and February. Based on just solely my opinion of what is the best song, not my favorite song, the best song, this should go to Good Luck Babe. I don't know if it will. I don't know. This is really, really tough. Bodyguard is so good, dude. It is my favorite song on Cowboy Carter, so I'm really happy about it. What I can see happening is them awarding this category not to Birds of a Feather, and then Birds of a Feather taking home Record or Song of the Year. That, to me, seems like a better win for Billie to give her a general field win rather than Best Pop Solo. Give Best Pop Solo to Sabrina, who probably won't take it home in the big field, unless they just give it to Beyonce because it's Beyonce. Best Pop Duo / Group Performance. There was one song that I thought was 100% locked to be nominated in this category, and it wasn't. And it is Fortnite by Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone. That song was pretty much made for this category, along with Die With a Smile, which is nominated here. It's really actually interesting what happened. So let me read the nominees and tell me if you figure out what happened. Ariana Grande, Brandy, and Monica for the Boy Is Mine remix. I am so happy for this. It's actually not like, it's not really great. I actually don't think that Brandy and Monica sound so good on this one, but power to them. It's a really well done blending of the two between Ariana's The Boy Is Mine and Brandy and Monica's song of the same name from 98. You then have Beyonce featuring Post Malone, Levi's Jeans. I hate this song. It does a whole lot of nothing for me. I actually really don't think that it is pop. I would argue it's way more country than pop. So it's a little bit weird that it got nominated here, but remember this one. You then have Charli XCX and Billie Eilish for Guess, which this should be with Lorde and Charli, the Girl So Confusing remix. The reason why is because Billie is a bigger name to the Grammys than Lorde, but the Girl So Confusing remix is so much better than Guess. The Girl So Confusing remix very well may be my #1 song of 2024. So we'll have to come back to that. I'm going to do a full ranking as the year winds down, but this one has a good shot. You then have Gracie Abrams featuring Taylor Swift for Us. I was floored when I saw this one come through. First off, the song is at best Gracie and Taylor trying to do Taylor, like karaoke. I just don't see the appeal in Gracie Abrams' voice. I don't get the appeal other than it's just more Taylor Swift music sung by somebody who isn't Taylor. And that is 100% a hot take, and I know some of you are going to vehemently disagree with me on that, and that is okay. The reason why Fortnite wasn't nominated here is because Taylor was nominated as a feature with Gracie for Us, and Post was nominated as a feature with Beyonce for Levi's Jeans. These two songs took up 2 spots, whereas Fortnite could have taken the 1. And I would actually say that Fortnite is a better song than the other 2 that are actually here. So I'm very surprised by this. I didn't really understand why they felt the need to give some love to Gracie, considering the album wasn't so amazing. She's obviously having a huge moment right now with I Love You, I'm Sorry, That's So True. It's kind of just like this delayed blow up after, being on the Eras tour and opening and building up a fan base that is so deeply rooted in Taylor's, and then building upon it and strengthening it. So it's really remarkable the success that she's having. I just don't think this song is worthy of a Grammy nomination. So I'm a little torn on that one. And then the final category nominee is Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Die With a Smile. This is a no-brainer. It should go to Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. The only competition I can see it having is Charlie and Billie. All right. Best Pop Vocal Album. The nominees are Ariana Grande, Eternal Sunshine. Finally. Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. Chappell Roan, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. Sabrina Carpenter, Short and Sweet. And Taylor Swift with the Tortured Poets Department. This is almost exactly what I predicted. And I think that there are 2 options here. A first look at this category will show you that 4 of the 5 of these nominees are also nominated in Album of the Year, which gives a lot more root to an Album of the Year win. Eternal Sunshine doesn't really have any shot here, which is really sad because it is Ariana's most consistent, beautifully laid out record. And I think that if any of her albums deserve a Grammy, it really should be Eternal Sunshine or Thank You Next, which, didn't get it. So it's tough. Outside of the Ariana of it all, what the Grammys have done in the recent years have been awarding one album that's huge in Best Pop Vocal and then giving a different album of the year. What I can see happening here is giving Best Pop Vocal Album to Taylor and the Tortured Poets Department and then giving Album of the Year to someone that isn't the Tortured Poets Department. That would be a way of giving Taylor a win. It's a huge album, biggest selling album of the year. It's Taylor. We've talked about it. That wouldn't shock me. If you were just looking at this list, whose pop album has had the most success? The answer here is Short and Sweet. You have Espresso, you have Please Please Please, you have Taste, you have Bedchem. There are so many viral moments, viral songs from this album that have been massive hits. The funny thing about Chappell's record, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, being here, and in all these categories, is that usually when there's like an album, there's a single attached to it that gets love in the general field or Best Pop Solo. Interestingly for Chappell, Good Luck Babe is not actually on Chappell's album. It was a one-off single. So there's no song nominated here that is representing the rise and fall of a Midwest princess. Now, that's not to say that this album isn't huge. There are so many songs that have been growing in popularity from that record. You have Hot to Go, you have Casual, you have Pink Pony Club, you have Red Wine Supernova. That's 4 songs right there that have really broken through and done decently within the streaming ecosystem. So it's hard to predict how the Recording Academy will treat an album that doesn't have its like songs playing in the fields at all. Interested there, and then Hit Me Hard and Soft. It's a front runner for Album of the Year. I could see Billie taking it here as well as Album of the Year, but if they're going to go down the route of awarding one here and then a different one in the general field, that also is a very fair chance for Tortured Poets to take home the win. Best Dance Pop Recording. You have Ariana Grande, Yes and, Billie Eilish, L'amour de ma vie, the Over Now extended edit, Charlie XCX, Von Dutch, Madison Beer, Make You Mine, and Troye Sivan, Got Me Started. Yes and was a #1 single for Ariana. I'm not surprised it's here. It does a great job of playing into the 90s house aesthetic. L'amour de ma vie was pretty much made, the extended edit was made to push Hit Me Hard and Soft to #1 when it debuted, and it didn't. And for this category, it's good. It's a good one. I don't necessarily think it deserves to win, but it's a good one. But it's also Billie and the Grammys. You can't predict what they're going to do because they just love her that much. Charlie, Von Dutch. Von Dutch is not the strongest song on the album. So, I don't expect it to take it home. Madison Beer, Make You Mine. I am so happy for her. I am thrilled that she's getting the attention that this song deserves. This was a huge one. It maybe didn't chart or have like crazy chart success, but this song was everywhere across my socials. It was all over TikTok. I hear this song out. I would hear it on the radio. This was a really big hit, and it deserves to be nominated in this category. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to win, but it's a huge win for Madison to be here. So I'm really proud of her. I'm really happy. Troye Sivan, Got Me Started. Great song. I think Rush should have won this one last year. It was nominated in the same category. It did not win. It lost to Kylie Minogue's Padam Padam. I think Rush should have taken home the win last year, and I don't think Got Me Started has much of a chance either. So it's really between Ariana Grande, yes, and I would say Billie Eilish here. All right, so that's the pop categories. Let's go through some other ones. We'll just do like a quick little scan through, and let's go through some other genres, shall we? Best Dance Electronic Recording, you have Disclosure, She's Gone, Dance On, Fortet, Loved, Fred Again and Baby Keem, Leave Me Alone, Justice and Tame Impala's Never Ender, and Kaytranada featuring Childish Gambino's Witchy. My favorite song in this category is Justice and Tame Impala's Never Ender. It is fantastic. That is my pick. And then Best Dance Electronic Music Album, you have Charlie XCX, Brat, Fortet 3, Justice Hyperdrama, Kaytranada's Timeless, and then Zed's Telos. Now, this is a very interesting one because Zed's Telos came out tail end of August. I'm a huge fan of Zed's music, so nostalgic for me. Telos I really didn't like. I really had a tough time getting into it, other than Out of Time with B. Miller and Tangerine Skies, I think it was called. Whatever the second song, also with B. Miller. Automatic Yes with John Mayer, it's fine, but I left this album feeling disappointed that it's been almost a decade since his last record came out in 2015, and this one just didn't really do much for me. So this one is a pretty easy go for Charlie XCX Brat. Best R&B album, Chris Brown, 1111 Deluxe, Lala Hathaway, Vanta Black, Lucky Day, Algorithm, Mooney Long, Revenge, and Usher Coming Home. I have no clue who this is going to go to. I just hope it isn't Chris Brown. I would love to see Lucky Day take it. That'd be cool. Best Rap Performance. This is an interesting one because there was another big snub, and let's go through and see if you pick up who's missing. Cardi B, Enough, Miami. Common and Pete Rock featuring Post Nuos, When the Sun Shines Again. Doechii, Nissan Altima. Eminem, Houdini. Future, Metro Boomin, Kendrick Lamar, Like That. Glorilla's, Yeah Glow. And Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. This is going to go to Kendrick, Not Like Us, but how can you not nominate Megan Thee Stallion's Hiss? That's a huge miss. Another one of the biggest rap beefs of the year. It went number 1. It was a really, really good song, and it showed off how incredibly talented Megan Thee Stallion is. So I'm a little surprised that she's not here, especially considering she won Best New Artist a few years back. That one, I'm going to say, is going to go to Kendrick. Best Melodic Rap Performance. I'm not going to go so deeply into this category because I think it's going to go to Future, Metro Boomin, and The Weeknd's We Still Don't Trust You. Unless it goes to Beyonce, Linda Martell, and Shaboozie's Spaghetti. I can't believe we are living in a world where Spaghetti is a Grammy-nominated song. That is wild. It is far from being anywhere near the top of Cowboy Carter's ranking for me, but it's incredible that Beyonce is nominated in pop, in country, in melodic rap in the same year with the same album. Country solo performance. All right, so let's do some country. Best country solo performance, Beyonce, 16 Carriages, Chris Stapleton, It Takes a Woman, Jelly Roll, I Am Not Okay, Casey Musgraves, The Architect, and Shaboozie's A Bar Song, Tipsy. Now, country solo performance is like pop solo performance, where it really should go to the best vocal performance, but that isn't usually how it goes. However, I can very much see this going to Beyonce, 16 Carriages. I think that song is way stronger than Texas Hold'em and doesn't get the attention that Texas Hold'em does. And then if it's not Beyonce, it should be Shaboozie, A Bar Song. It was inescapable this year, and, give him some love because I don't know where else he's going to make out this year. Now, I'm not 100% set on giving Beyonce country solo because I would so much rather her win for country duo/group performance. Beyonce is nominated with Miley Cyrus for Two Most Wanted, which is such an incredible, beautiful song. I think that the songwriting here is exquisite. Their voices together are so unexpected, yet they work so well. And the Grammys really finally came around to Miley and gave her the win for Flowers twice. So it's really, really strong here that they could take it home. You then have brothers Osborne, Break Mine, Dan and Shay, Bigger Houses, Kelsey Ballerini and Noah Khan, Cowboys Cry 2, another good one, but I don't think either one of them is strong enough to take home the win. And then Post Malone featuring, I Had Some Help. So I'm going to give it to Beyonce and Miley. And then Best Country Song, Beyonce, Texas Hold'em, Jelly Roll, I Am Not Okay, Casey Musgraves, The Architect, Post Malone and I Had Some Help, and then Shabuzi of our song Tipsy. Again, Beyonce or Shabuzi. Best Country Album, Beyonce, Cowboy Carter, Chris Stapleton, Higher, Casey Musgraves, Deeper Well, Lainey Wilson, Whirlman, proud of her. Post Malone, F1 Trillion. This is Beyonce's award to lose. Best Americana Performance, another weird one like Spaghetti. Beyonce's Yaya got nominated in this category, and I am a firm believer that Yaya is the best song on any part of Cowboy Carter. It encapsulates everything that makes Beyonce Beyonce. Yaya interpolates Nancy Sinatra's These Boots Are Made for Walking, one of the most famous songs of all time, and the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations. So it is such a incredible, like, multi-genre song. There's elements of psychedelic in here. There's rock and roll. There's country. There's Americana, clearly. There's funk. So this is a really great one. This is also Beyonce's first time ever being nominated in Best Americana Performance. So another wall broken down by her. Good for her. African music. This is something that I wanted to talk about. There's a huge name missing from Best African Music Performance, and Tyla is not nominated in these categories, and she won for Water last year. The fact that her debut album isn't nominated anywhere here, the fact that Truth or Dare isn't anywhere here, very surprising to me. Okay. Oh, I need my phone. I'm going to go to my Instagram stories. Again, this is at Vinyl by Mars on Instagram. This is something we're going to continue to do throughout the podcast world of Live from Mars. I'm going to ask you guys questions on my story, and we'll go through what your responses are on episodes. I feel like it's a really fun way to bring the community and the world into this, rather than just me sitting here talking to myself. All right. So I asked the day that the Grammy nominations came out on Friday. I said, sitting down to record Live from Mars, recapping Grammy nominations. What questions do you have? And boy, did you guys come through. We got a lot of responses. You saw how many there were if you're watching the video. There are so many of these, and a lot of them are about the same thing. So the big question that you guys have, we kind of talked about it a little bit already, but the question is, why wasn't Ariana nominated more? Why was Ariana snubbed? Ariana Grande snubbed. How do we feel about Eternal Sunshine not getting more recognition? Why was Ariana snubbed? Do you think that Eternal Sunshine should have been nominated? Why do you think Ariana got snubbed in the 3 major categories? So you get the point, right? There were so many pop albums that came out in 2024. I remember making a video back in like March talking about everything that was going to be coming, and there's still more that came after that. You had Brat, Charlie XCX, Eternal Sunshine, Ariana Grande, Tortured Poets Department, Taylor, Imaginal Disc, Magdalena Bay, Hit Me Hard and Soft, Billie Eilish. You have Cowboy Carter by Beyonce. You have CXOXO, Camila Cabello. You have Remy Wolf's Big Ideas. Don't Forget Me, Maggie Rogers, Deeper Well, Casey Musgrave, Short and Sweet, Sabrina Carpenter. Coldplay's Moon Music, Only God Was Above Us, Vampire Weekend, Dua Lipa, Radical Optimism, The Great Impersonator, Halsey, which wasn't for this eligibility period but was still released in 2024. Fireworks and Rollerblades, Benson Boone, Everything I Thought It Was, Justin Timberlake. So there were so many albums released this year, and I think a big reason why Eternal Sunshine didn't get more love is because it just came out too early in the season. And it's not really fair, but that's sometimes just how it works. Like, there is an optimal time to release an album so that way it continues to gain prominence and people are continuing to tune into the record and everything that it all the stories that it has to tell, and the success of all the singles that come after it. It's just this year compared to prior years was very different because the attention span of the average person is so much shorter today than it ever has been. And when you add on top of that the amount of new music that came out, Eternal Sunshine kind of fell by the wayside. And I think that ultimately is what detracted from it pulling through some more nominations than people were hoping for. We Can't Be Friends was a #1 single. It performed decently well on the charts. The music video was really, really strong. The whole album is really strong. Eternal Sunshine, the title track, will be one of, if not my most played song of the year. So I feel you. And I predicted that Eternal Sunshine would get possibly a nomination in Album of the Year. And I was really banking on We Can't Be Friends getting in the general field and pop solo. And the Grammys just didn't come through for Ariana this time. And there's a very interesting history of the Grammys and Ariana. The only real success that she's had was with Sweetener took home Best Pop Vocal Album. The Grammys haven't shown as much love to Ariana as arguably she should be getting. She is a top-tier vocalist of our generation. She's putting together cohesive projects that are really compelling, and especially with Eternal Sunshine, the narrative that it went through and the stories that she's telling are really strong. So in my eyes, it is a big snub. And I think that it deserves to be in the general field, and it deserves more love across the genre categories. She did get Yes and for Best Dance Pop Recording. She did get The Boy Is Mine remix, her duo/group. So it's not like she's not here at all. Some other thoughts we have. Another thought that we have is, why do you think Die With a Smile was nominated for song and not record? I have no clue. Your guess is as good as mine. I think on one hand, I am a very firm believer that if this song was going to be nominated for one of the two, it should have been Record of the Year, because Record of the Year is awarding the production, the vocal performances, the mixing, the mastering. Like, this is what Die With a Smile is all about. It's the harmonies that Bruno and Gaga have. It's how well they sound together. It's each of their individual vocal performances as well are so strong. The songwriting isn't anything crazy. The lyrics aren't like groundbreaking by any means. Someone asked off of Die With a Smile, do you think Die With a Smile has any chance of winning? I do. I think Gaga and Bruno are both Grammy favorites. Like I said earlier, Bruno has not lost a Grammy nomination in a decade. That is crazy. So I do think Die With a Smile has a really good shot at Best Pop Duo/Group Performance, especially because Beyonce and Miley, two most wanted, are nominated for Country Duo Performance, not Pop. This is the front runner in my mind, but like I said before, the only thing that could go against them is Charlie and Billie for Guess. So we'll see. Do you think Chappell Roan has Best New Artist in the bag? I don't think it's anywhere near in the bag, but of the class of Best New Artist candidates, it's between Chappell and Sabrina. The entirety of 2024 music, other than the, crazy sales that Taylor gets with Tortured Poets and the Eras Tour, the story of 2024 has really been between the big three: Chappell, Sabrina, and Charlie. They really brought on this new trend of pop stars being messy again and being really raw and authentic and just like not giving a shit what anyone else thinks and just staying true to their artistry and their visions. And you really see that with Sabrina and her whole like 1960s Lolita, but like really sexual version of that classic image. You see it in her music, how tongue-in-cheek it is, how hysterical the writing on Jordan Sweet is. You see it with Chappell across everything she touches. She is such a strong proponent of LGBTQ rights. She is all about being herself, and that is the story of 2024 music for me. It is surely not in the bag for one of them, but I would say Chappell is the front runner, and Chappell is who I would personally put my money on. Someone else said, should Houdini have been nominated in Dance Pop? I personally think so. And a lot of you also asked about Radical Optimism being snubbed entirely. Dua Lipa went home with 0 nominations this year. And this is after the success of Future Nostalgia. Radical Optimism is a very, very flawed project. Future Optimism. I just combined the two. Radical Optimism is a story of Houdini, Training Season, and maybe Illusion. And then you have the rest of the album. When Dua was originally putting out music with Houdini, the whole story behind the project was that she'd been wanting to work with Kevin Parker of Tame Impala for so long. She finally nailed him down. They were creating music together, and she was looking forward to exploring this psychedelic trance side of music. You saw it in the visuals that were being teased. Right before the era started, she updated all of her album artwork, her icons on socials to be this kaleidoscopic effect with bold colors, and that was the vision of Dua Lipa's third record. Houdini comes out. Doesn't make a huge splash, but it was a little bit of a sleeper hit, which tends to be the case with Dua's music. You really saw Houdini start to take off from its Grammy performance at the show last year, but she also premiered Training Season then, and that was a huge mistake, because right when Houdini was starting to take off, she dropped Training Season, waited weeks to actually release it, mistake number 2, and then Training Season isn't as strong of a song for me as Houdini, so it kind of just went nowhere. Then the album name is finally announced. She releases Illusion as the third single. You see the album artwork, and the name of the album being Radical Optimism is screaming vacation. I am a vacation professional, which is kind of the joke about Dua Lipa, is that she's always on vacation, especially like during COVID. It wasn't good. The album itself, outside of the first 3 songs I mentioned, very much plays into that aesthetic. It doesn't have any of that psychedelic, the kaleidoscopic, the Kevin Parker isms of Houdini, of Training Season. And that is where she lost me. That is where she lost a lot of people, because the album didn't do so well. It really wasn't promoted so much after its first initial week. And no single performed so well. And it's really wild to see how strong of an era Future Nostalgia was, from the visuals to the music videos to the songs to the live performances to the looks. Like, everything was so carefully curated. And then whatever happened behind the scenes between the release of Houdini and Training Season and then like Illusion and the rest of the album, something happened. There is some album version of Radical Optimism there that is in the Houdini Training Season world. Huge miss not to move forward with that version of the project. The only songs that I return to on Radical Optimism are End of an Era and Happy for You. The songs on Radical Optimism that worked the best for me were the songs that walked the line between the Kevin Parker world and the Sunshine Vacation world the best. Outside of Houdini and Training Season, that is End of an Era and Happy for You. Again, like Ariana Grande's Eternal Sunshine, because of just the amount of new pop music from these A-list pop stars that came out within a span of 2 to 4 months of one another, every single week there was a new album coming out from a massive name, to the point that everyone's wondering who the hell is going to be left to release in 2025. So that also did it for Dua. The same thing that happened to Ariana was just the fact that there was so much music coming out around the same time as each other. It didn't have the legs of a narrative to stand upon the way that a Chapel Project did, or Charlie, or Sabrina, or Taylor. And it just kind of fell by the wayside. And honestly, it doesn't deserve to be nominated in these categories. Houdini, yes. The rest of it, no. Do you think Cowboy Carter is Beyonce's most deserving album for Album of the Year? Absolutely not. The album that should have won Album of the Year should have been her self-titled debut, and then it wasn't, which then made Lemonade the one that should have won it, which then made Renaissance be the one that should have won it, which now makes Cowboy Carter the one that should win it. Of those 4, my personal favorite Beyonce album is Lemonade. That is the one that really, really should have taken home the win, and it's crazy to me that it didn't. Even Adele winning the award when she won for Album of the Year for 25 basically gave the award to Beyonce. So I think the answer here is that Lemonade should have been the win. Cowboy Carter is a very strong project. It is genre spanning. She really pays homage to like country roots and how African Americans really played a role in crafting and shaping the narrative of country music and the sound of country music, and didn't get the credit that they deserve. I do have to say that, similar to the story that I told about Ariana, about Dua, about music coming out so early on in 2024 and then kind of being forgotten about because so much other new music dropped, Cowboy Carter does suffer from that same fate. The only big single that this song had was Texas Hold'em. It really didn't make a splash outside of its like first few weeks, the album. But the Grammys are suckers for Beyonce. She deserves the nominations that she has, but if I had to pick one of those 4 projects that should have won Album of the Year, it's not Cowboy Carter. Someone asked, what are albums that got no nominations that you think should have? And this person specifically said that Troy got snubbed hard. The only albums that are coming top of mind for me right away that I think should have got something, Maggie Rogers' Don't Forget Me, I thought was a really great return to form for her. It was much more in the lane of her debut project rather than like the grunge rock of Surrender from 2022. With Troy, it's a great album, but when it's competing in the pop category against every album that we've already talked about, there's no chance. And it is a shame because it was a good one, but not every good album gets nominated, clearly. The last question that I'm going to end on is someone asked, if I were deciding the race right now today, sitting down and recording this, who will win? Best New Artist, I'm going to give to Chappell Roan. Song of the Year, Record of the Year are really tough because there's the Beyonce of it all. If you're going to give it to Beyonce for Texas Hold'em, it should be Record of the Year, not Song. If we're going to take Beyonce out of it, because let's say she gets Album of the Year, or let's say like Renaissance, she does a clean pretty much sweep of the genre fields but doesn't take home anything in the general. Record of the Year I can see going to Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter, and Song of the Year I can see going to Billie Eilish for Birds of a Feather. Album of the Year is so unbelievably hard, and I don't think we'll have a clear idea as to who's going to win until you start seeing the genre fields come through. My personal pick is Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. I know that is the betting favorite right now to take home the win, but I'm really, really thinking that what happened with Adele versus Beyonce and then that clearing the way, splitting the vote, and letting Harry come through and take home the win for Harry's house, I think you may see something like that again between the split of Taylor and Beyonce, paving the way through for another pop act to come through and take home the win. That could be Billie, that could be Chappell, that could be Charlie. God, it's so hard. It's really, really tricky. That will probably change between now and February, so don't hold me to it. I will let you know where my head is at as we get closer to the race ending. But that right there is the end of our conversation of the Grammy nominations. I really hope you guys enjoyed this because it was very therapeutic for me to talk through it. So hopefully hearing this gave you new perspectives to consider, or it confirmed what you were already thinking, or it just made you mad because you disagree with my opinion on something, and that's fine. But I do want to know what you guys think of the episode, of my thoughts, of the podcast. Drop a comment on whatever platform you are listening to this on, watching this on. This is the real first episode of Live from Mars because the first one was really just to get to know your host. This is the real first one where we're sitting down talking about the thing that we all love. So this was really fun. I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast on any platform you choose between Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, you name it. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Make sure you are following on TikTok and Instagram. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you all again very, very soon.